Kayo. I have my colleagues here, of whom have been country doing civic engagement and education, causing frauds in every manner, because others have been on the streets, times man solo like Mabonga here, the Lord's work. So we are just here to, a short way, give a progress message nation regards to the Gen Z movement, which a number of us think, a number of the people of Kenya think is dead, also offer a way forward. In between, we will also be speaking to some of the challenges we faced, especially with regards to um, political parties' influence, key figures' influence, and whatnot. But our major interest is to ensure that ultimately we are able to amass our numbers as the young people of Kenya, the Gen Zs to be specific, but of course that is not to exclude any other person who is not within that age group. So thank you. I'm just going to introduce the team here, and a few of them who have been doing key things are also going to say one or two things, and then afterwards I'll read the statement, which we shall share both in soft copy and in hard copy. And then we will welcome you to raise maybe some questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Marvin Mabonga, and most of you on social know me as Kebaso. One of those guys who have been on the streets and, of course, who have been doing civic education, who have been moving from county to county. So far, we've done counties, and as we speak, immediately after here, we are going to do Kilifi County and Lam counties. And so, along the way, we've met people whom we've been able to, but unfortunately, we had to fall out because of some key or some few interests. At times, we felt like we are moving as a group. The images you are seeing here, these people who are here, we have been moving together with a few guys. No, you might ask questions later, but then we decided that let us have the interest of the young people, of the Gen Zs. So we are not going to stop. We are going to ask the government for accountability. We are going to educate our people from county to county. So at this moment, let us embrace civic education and also come out in large numbers whenever we feel like the government or those people, they are doing what exactly is not supposed to be done. So we will not sit back and wait for the likes of William Ruto and his people while all the odds. So welcome you here.
Uh, Thank you, members of the third estate. My name is Morara. We're here to give solid declaration that the movement is different. Some of the people we might have worked with, we differ in principles. That is where integrity, transparency, teamwork, and accountability touches on the core movement. So we're here to confirm to the general public that despite the side shows they've seen in people here and there, that should not diminish your faith and trust in us. We are here to deliver because we have always handled these animals head on, and we shall continue to deal with them in the most possible way, and mostly the way must be legal and must be professional. But again, we are ready for anything, and we shall always ensure that the sovereignty of the people of Kenya and the dignity of the public is upheld and respected, regardless of the political affiliations or interests that might have tried to hijack the Gen Z movement. I know, as we speak today, A lot of us who are on the screens and in the streets are speaking from different quarters. Those are the characters in reference. And we are here to tell you that just ignore them as a past history. Whatever they contributed as of then remains there. But from today going forward, we are here to do the Lord's work. And the Lord's work is to ensure that the corrupt, the evil, the treacherous police force that is mandated to protect the people of Kenya, that has continuously eroded the culture of humanity and peace, we shall always hold them accountable, because power is transient. And I know when I say power is transient, even the most powerful dictators of the world, when they were bowing out, they had to respect the rule of law. So whatever you are doing within the political class, just do it with moderation, because tomorrow, when we finally take over power, we will hold you accountable and you will hide, but you will never run away. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Eddie Mambo. I know, and you also know that I have not been a common face in the media, but let's just say that going forward, I will be a common figure to take part in this movement and to ensure that our leaders are held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we have um, many other key figures that we communicated with, and whom are supposed to be here, but because of one reason or another, they've not been able to make it here. But we can authoritatively say that they are with us in spirit, and actually some will be arriving after this presser. It's a matter of time. Sometimes they are late, and that's it. We have people like Engineer Kimori. We have Wakili Steve Bugwa from LSK, who is making his way. We also have Caroline, whom together we have been working in some outfit. Who else? We have Voice of Tongaren, especially on X. He's been doing the Lord's work on X. We have and so many other people that we know were supposed to be here but have not made it, but they are with us together. So I'll proceed to read our statement. And this statement is founded on the basis of continuity and perpetuity of the movement, which has otherwise been thought to be dead. The movement is not dead. Some of us here have actually fought for the movement. Some of us actually participated in the very initial stages of formation of the Gen Z movement, which other people thought, or maybe many people thought, was, you know, entirely amorphous, but to some extent there was organization involved. So we can authoritatively say that we are here to represent the voices that or rather that Kenyans think are dead. So earlier this year, we, the young people of this generation and this country, went to the streets to demand for a better Kenya. This was on the backdrop of an unapologetic attitude of the government and state actors in place. And they were actually going against the will of Kenyans and the will of especially the young people. The government, led by, Mr. Ruto, immediately responded with brutality, abductions, torture, and killings in total disregard of our constitutionally guaranteed rights. Nothing has so far changed. Actually, we are worse. Many people are unaccounted for. As we speak, we have some of us who are still unaccounted for. Some of us who got lost in the mix of everything. Some of us are still maimed and they're still nursing their injuries in the hospitals. Some are still affected mentally, and that means they cannot even come out to speak what happened to them. So while we can bank on a properly functioning parliament to check on the errors and excesses of the executive, we have none at the moment. We have a parliament that is serving the interest of the executive instead of representing the people, oversighting the executive and the other arm of government, and actually speaking for the people. We are therefore gathered here to remind Kenyans that the Gen Z movement is still here, and we are ready to ask the questions that our compromised parliament and the opposition, which is no longer existing, aren't bold enough to ask Mr. Ruto. The health sector has witnessed untold death and suffering, not only by the patients, but also the doctors themselves. We have a young doctor who was in his attachment, who just died the other day. I think 4 or 5 months ago, we had a lady, a young doctor who also, committed suicide. So really, we've had these cases. Imagine if those who are supposed to take care of Kenyans are killing themselves. That means they've reached the dead end. What would it be said for those of us who know nothing about anatomy and health? Fellow Kenyans, right now our medical interns have gone for more than 4 months without pay. They are not in the right mental state to handle patients, but they do it nonetheless. You also remember that the government rushed to roll out SHIF and SHA. They are actually confusing Kenyans. Is it Social Health Insurance Fund or is it Social Health Authority? Someone said that the government spent 104 billion to replace N with S so that we have SHIF instead of the former NHIF, just replacing an N, because really there's nothing better in the shift that they've brought forward. So when they realized this is actually bringing a discussion, they resorted to SHA, Social Health Authority. Okay, now this system has been enrolled, but without putting into place measures to ensure smooth transition. Lives have been lost in the process, and we can only wonder what the hurry was exactly for. Why did we have to hurry to bring in another health fund that is actually not working? Yet we had a working comprehensive national health insurance cover. The education sector also, as you know, has a share of these troubles. The once giant institutions of higher learning, for example, there's Moi University, have collapsed and are collapsing, and probably more will collapse. The university funding model is in shambles, and there are unresolved issues around JSS teachers' employment and payment. So politics, as you know, define every scope of our lives. The political space has grown thinner under this regime. Abductions have been normalized to the point of it becoming a part of our foreign policies. You have seen the Ugandan opposition leader, Kizza Besigye, was just abducted here in Nairobi. And they took him out of the country without any interruption, meaning the government is well aware and is in support of what is happening in this country. We also have nationals of, there's a country, what is this country? Turkish nationals, 4 of them, who are abducted in this country. So it means we are not only doing this to the people of Kenya, but also to other nationals, to our global citizens. So we cannot overcome these challenges unless we patriotic Kenyans have a unity of purpose. These issues bedeviling us are no child's play. They are not opportunities for popularity contests, as some of us have put it. And some of us think this is a popularity contest or a power play. These are serious issues affecting Kenyans. And so we should approach them with the seriousness that they deserve. We are happy that the church has found its long-lost voice, and we are calling on SUPKEM, the Islamic body that has not spoken, to also speak to the issues that are happening. We have seen the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops speak. We have seen other bishops from other denominations speak. We have seen the Anglican Church speak, and we are happy that they are all, in support of what the Kenyans are crying out for. But we want to hear those that have not spoken, like SUPKEM. So we really needed that guidance and synergy to ensure that the right things are done and our resources are well accounted for. We acknowledge the crucial role of the religious organizations in weaving the fabric of our society, and that informs this decision. The youth of Kenya have continued the fight for a better country on different fronts since the Gen Z protests. Just immediately after the protest, and while so many of the young people of our young colleagues were hospitalized, a section of us coordinated the crowdsourcing of medical bills. There's a group that has done a commendable job, traversing this country, exposing faith projects and frauds to ensure that the public funds is adequately utilized and the public is well informed, and that everyone is up to date on matters of governance. We have Nelson Amenya, as you know, who single-handedly exposed the mega scandal, the Adani JKIA deal. And we are here to, also tell you that we've been part of some of these groups. Some of us, myself included, has been traversing this country in various outfits, trying to also see to it that these projects we are talking about are exposed and that the people of Kenya have the information that they deserve to have. We recognize and appreciate the efforts of all that have enabled this country to reach where we are. We have indeed saved this country so much loss since the start of what has sparked all the conversations, the Gen Z movement, which we are here to support. We don't want it to die or to go anywhere, and it is not going to die. So that said, we want to assure Kenyans that the defiant spirit of the Gen Z is still here, and that with your support, we will liberate Kenya from the culture of lies, unconstitutionalism, and lack of transparency and accountability. We also want to call upon highly spirited allies and people who are not necessarily Gen Zs, but who believe in the power that the young people hold and who believe in the transformation that has so far started with this conversation, to come forward, to support us, to change this country for the better. We are open to membership from across all generations and all industries. We hereby call for actions in the following key specific areas: immediate reconstitution of IEBC, Independent Electoral Commission. We know there are constituencies and wards with no leadership. There are constituencies with no MPs. We have wards with no MCAs. Why is it so? Do we have a vacuum somewhere? No, we shouldn't. So that means IEBC should be reconstituted so that we have transition. If someone is appointed to the national government as CS, let a replacement be elected almost immediately. So we call upon Mr. Ruto and his government to reconstitute the IEBC as soon as possible, because we need leadership to continue in this country. Number two, we want a comprehensive report on the state of abductions and illegal actions of the police on the people of Kenya by IPOA. So we want the Independent Police Oversight Authority to move into swift action and give the Kenyans a detailed report, a comprehensive report on abductions. How many people are missing? Where are they? And who is responsible? We also call for harmonization of the new university's funding model with the actual needs of university students. University comrades are suffering because there are some who've not been able to pay the huge amounts that they're required to pay under the new university funding model. So we need the government of Kenya, including the parliament, to speak to these issues. We have many issues to speak about, and not just to politic around and to always make noise in the assembly. And we also want immediate action on the health fund. We want immediate action on SHA or SHIF, so that then they tell us if they really intended to enroll this SHIF or SHA. Do they have mechanisms to ensure that patients can actually be paid for them to be catered for in hospitals? Not that we have hospitals rejecting patients because they're using SHA or SHIF, which the government itself brought into place, yet we had a working health insurance fund. So we shall shortly embark on a very rigorous civic engagement process so that everyone in Kenya, the lost hope of Kenyans, that they think the young people have been subdued and the young people are no longer speaking. We want to assure the people of Kenya through this civic engagement that we are still up and running and that we are going to work in your villages and towns to ensure that this message is everywhere. We are going to explore various solutions to the current problems we are facing and come up with a better way to realize a better Kenya. This will necessitate taking measures to ensure that the political conversation in this country changes for the better future of Kenya, and especially the young people who have a longer future to live, much more than the political elite. So we will fight for this country's liberation. We will fight for this country's democratic space. And if it means going back to the streets, so be it. Thank you. I'll welcome any questions. Yes, sir. Or Casmuel. I don't have a stand on the party ODM because ODM is not my party, and I'm not intending, or we are not intending to join ODM anytime. But really, the movement has different characters. We have people who are here and who have been here since the very beginning to serve the interests of the larger majority. But we also have people who maybe they had the interest of the majority at heart, but something changed along the way. Or maybe there was pressure and they bowed to pressure. But of course, we also have people who expressly had no interest of the movement or the general people from the very beginning. So whatever gets someone out of the movement to join another outfit, which from the very beginning we said has people who are against us, against our interests, we honestly cannot speak to that because we don't know. In his heart as Casmuel, I don't know really what he's thinking or why he made the decision. He's not come to tell us. But I think my explanation suffices. So it's a personal decision. It's a personal choice to join another outfit. No, we are not forming a party. We are not forming a party, as we've said, and I have been repeating. That's why I was, unequivocally saying Gen Z movement. This is still a movement. We are not forming a party. We are not going anywhere to form a party. And I individually, and I know these gentlemen standing with me, are not intending to form any party. All right? But here's the thing. The young people, nothing bars the young people from doing politics or joining political parties or forming political parties. Should there be need to have a political or to join a political party, which the young people will endorse, not just as individuals, but in a convention of young people and agree, then that will be it. As for now, we are working on amassing the numbers. We have young people who everyone assumes that know what is happening, but not everyone actually know what is happening. Not everyone has been part of this movement. So our main agenda, our main idea is to amass the numbers of the young people and to ensure that we actually influence political decisions moving forward. Because we know all these things we are crying for or crying about can be solved politically. Yes. How are we expected to engage the government? We are expected to engage the government through talks, through meetings, and through consultations. We don't really have to have designated leaders that so and so now is the leader, go and represent us. We can always have a selection of people and say, look, you guys, because we cannot be called all of us, and the government is expressing interest in, having a sit down and listening, go and have a chat. It is a matter of what do we have at that moment and who can actually go, who can access. If we are to write a statement, we can always have people to do that. We don't have to have a specific person or a specific group of people to always, all the time, speak on behalf of the entire movement. Thank you. Yes. We are going to mobilize young people to be in the churches. We have actually identified the power that the young people hold. And you see, in churches and I've not seen in mosques, but really in churches where there are young people, and you hear politicians come forward to speak, even when they are not supposed to, or when they are not invited. The young people have always shouted and spoke them off. So really, it's a matter of having the young people in church and in other religious institutions. And once they are there, they know what they will do there. Who is that? Yes. Yes. Mm. That's a good question. Let me let Comrade Sankara to respond to you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Let me start with the gentleman. Your name kindly? Collins. I don't think you need money to know that actually the government is abducting and killing Kenyans. Do you need to get money so that you know that someone was abducted, tortured, and even exiled? You don't need money to be told that the education system is in limbos. You don't need money to know that Sha and She is actually an absolute confusion. So, in other words, these things, it is the drive within us. Even today we are here, we are not paid to come here. So the same way we find our ways moving forward, we shall always work together with the people of Kenya. And on the question of amorphousness, at first when I was speaking, I insinuated the instance of legality. We are the people of Kenya, both of us here. In as much as the government just said the other day that birth certificates do not amount to citizenship, we actually have birth certificates, we have IDs, we are the people of Kenya. As far as we are citizens, we have the freedom of association, assembly. Do I need to continue? We are together.
Okay. Responding to your question, actually, personally, as Mabonga, um, a few individuals who are here. In fact, most of us, we were in the Inject Party at the beginning. Unfortunately, the entire team that was at the Inject Party, we left that party because we didn't have that good structures. Find out that you are talking on matters funding. Yeah, as a party, you cannot expect people to fund you through your personal mobile number or through your bank account. We expected, if it is a party, we are forming a party or joining a party, then this party, if you are doing resource mobilization, it should be channeled the right way, which is the account for the party. But unfortunately, the leaders of the party, of which at the moment, as I speak, it's a group of schoolmates. And so you find out that they were so reluctant to come up with those structures, even forming a proper way or a proper channel to get the funding. And that's why we said we are not going to to demand for accountability from the government, but we as individuals or as a party, we are not accounting for what the people on the ground are giving us. So that's why we left the Inject party. As you can see, Melvin is here. He was driving the Inject branded vehicle. Okayo is here. He was to be the Secretary General of the Inject party. Personally, I was there and I was tasked to work with the content creators and so on and so forth. We had our good friend here. He also volunteered to work on other aspects. We have people like Baha who defaulted from the Inject party, I think yesterday. We have Voice of Tongaren, we have Magi. All of them left Inject party because the leadership at the Inject party, honestly, isn't accountable. So we said we are not going to join any party. Let us work partyless. So as I told you guys, it's not necessary to have a huge sum of money to go and do civic education. I, as Mabonga, Voice of Tongaren, Okayo here, we have been moving from county to counties, honestly. And I told you that we are going to Kilifi and Lamu. We haven't asked you guys to contribute to our personal phone numbers because you'll be asking us, why are you not accounting for these funds? So we are going to do civic education regardless, whether we'll be having funds or not. I don't need funds to come and talk to you. I only need good mobilization.
And by the way, Collins, you don't need money, a lot of money to board Tahmid in town and go to Mombasa to meet people at the market, to meet youth, at the various spaces at the coast. It's 1,200. You're in Mombasa. You're talking to people. You walk as you can. We have comrades around there who can always give you company. Technical University of Mombasa, Pwani University, and whatnot. It's not a lot of. It doesn't require so much of funding. It's just a little money that all of us here can always afford something, just some fare. Of course, by all means. I mean, if Kenyans of good willing see that what we are doing is of importance, and if they can read the sincerity in our eyes, and if they can see the future that belongs to us, especially the young people, then maybe they will be convinced to support us in this move. Actually, we have realized that the government of the day resorts to violence to try to subdue the rising voices of the Kenyan people. That is what happened with the former DP, Rigathi Gachagua. It is very unfortunate, but that is what is. When I was in first year of law school, I was taught in jurisprudence that there's some law is there's the law that is and the law that is ought to be. So which is law? Is it law that is ought to be or law that is? We actually have an aspiration to have the law as it ought to be. But as we speak, we have law as is, where we are saying that in Article 50, that anyone, an arrested person, is not guilty until that guilt is proven. All right? We cannot, I mean, in other words, we would be very eager to see someone who is seen as knocked someone by a car taken to jail directly, but you can't. They have to actually prove that there was intent to kill whomever they kill on the road. So the state as is that we have violence, and government is using violence to respond to some of these things. But what we would want to see as young people, and what we are actually trying to speak about and to fight for, and we are fighting because we know there is hope and there is, well, commonly light at the end of the tunnel. So that ultimately, when we are able to amass numbers and the people of Kenya are able to speak all in one accord and say that enough is enough, then we shall have that Kenya that ought to be. We shall have a state where no one can go just to a funeral and they be attacked in a funeral. A very sad state of affairs, but it's a political play anyway. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Gen Z movement is not dead, and as you've rightly put it, is not being felt. You know, we've had so many people, and the people of Kenya, and I think everyone else everywhere, always tend to believe in key figures that come out to try to portray the idea or the principles that the team is working for. We've had people believing in individuals, and we've had individuals divert to other things. We've had individuals defect to other things, and these my friends here have spoken to matters of self-interest, matters of lack of accountability. When we are calling the government to be accountable, ourselves we can't be accountable. You know, matters of just other principles. So we can say there was sort of a diverted attention from the main goal. But we can say that we are happy in the year of our Lord 2024, December, that God has opened our eyes and we are back to track. That's why we are here. This is just the beginning. Moving forward, we won't even call for a press conference, only when need be. But you guys shall be covering the actions that we shall be portraying and doing. I think there's maybe he
Let
wants
me
to
add
add on.
something. I know on the question you've asked, it touches on what we're actually going to do going forward. And this is just a courtesy reminder to the DCI that constitutionally, your work is to investigate where there is allegations. I want to urge you, I know you know that that is what you ought to be doing. Let us embrace a culture where if Sankara has got questionable integrity, avoid the drama. You're wasting public money going for one individual with 10 Subarus. Are you normal? Just summon this person, then showcase they didn't appear, and then you can act on it. We can avoid these dramas. Let us learn to make our country the portrait we portray out there as a civilized nation, where individuals, if have issues, they are summoned in a very constitutional way and their rights are still protected. We don't want this militarization and police state that we see in East Africa, where people are being picked left, right, and center, and no one is accounting for it. And to add on that, the current DP just hurt me when he was the Minister Interior, when he said, and I quote, not everyone shot in the demonstrations was shot by the police. I mean, how many Kenyans are allowed to walk with guns? That shows you the recklessness and the responsibility in the higher office. Because everyone who was marshaled to the streets in the name of police, they were all sanctioned and they have team leaders. So when an individual or a citizen is being shot by a person armed to the teeth, and then our old minister telling us that we are not accountable for that, are we really in a democratic state or not? So we must engage going forward by protecting and respecting the rights of Kenyans. No one is guilty until proven guilty, not by the court of men, but by the court of law. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, so finally, we are calling on every Kenyan support the course that we have started because this is a just course. Actually, we are just continuing the course. Support the course so that we can actually be felt. And being felt is not just by Kenyans, but by the government itself, so that it can respond positively to what we are calling the government to do. We are open to having conversations with everyone and anyone across the country. We're not going to let, or rather leave anyone behind. For any young person who wants to undertake civic education or civic engagement in whichever capacity at whatever place, you are open to do so. But should you see us going around engaging the people and it is something of interest to you, you want to be part of it, come. We shall all work together. We shall engage you, and as you also engage us in what is happening on the real ground and on your local communities. I think with that, we thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.